Hey everybody, Tommy Kane back. Listen, I have a question. I'm just curious, how come people who support the MAGA movement always cover their face and their names, their identities? I notice that if I'm ever surfing on Instagram or if I'm ever searching through Facebook posts or anything like that, I notice that every single time somebody will be coming in and they'll be arguing and they'll be saying all this shit like that's super MAGA heavy, like Trump, Trump for another 4 years and who cares, deport them all, and just somebody like that. And I'll click on their name and it'll take me to a profile that's like a picture of like an eagle and a gun. And then I'll look at their name and their name is something like, it'll be like, Johnny, Johnny Pistol, or like some stupid, like ridiculous name that is not their name. And then you go through and there's like 4 pictures and every one of them are like not of the person. Like it's like a Confederate flag with like another image of like a Harley Davidson. It's just like some weird shit. And it's never actually a person. It's never actually like an individual that like, you can, what I mean? Where their name and you can see that it's never that. It's never that. And then you look at like the people that came to agitate protesters, which, by the way, I said this in a previous video and I'm going to say it again. If you were really about America and about the army and about Trump and you really supported that, then you would have went to his birthday, right? You would have went there and supported the army but what did MAGA do? They went and antagonized liberal protesters at liberal protests. They went to No Kings protests with their camera crews and their blogger, whatever it is. Some of them are bloggers. Some of them went there with like MAGA hats on just to like antagonize. And it's like, that's exactly what you're really about, right? That is your entire core ideology, is to basically antagonize liberals. And these MAGA that showed up to these protests, mask on. They would have MAGA hats on, but they'd have a mask or like a black shirt over their face, right? And if you look around at all the protesters, when I was down in Beverly Hills, you could see the footage, or when I was down in Glendale that I shot, or when I was even downtown in Los Angeles, there was a couple people that were wearing masks that were like, yelling and screaming at the army or the military and stuff. But those few people, in all essence, are kind of, they are protected by their Fifth Amendment right. But every single person who was there that was on behalf of the military, like the National Guard, had masks over their faces. ICE, when they show up and they grab people, they have masks over their faces. I just saw a video. I can't pull it up. I don't have the. But I just saw a video recently that was a news article on Proud Boys who were like, going around holding Confederate flags, and they were protesting. They're like, white supremacy protests, and every single one of them had a mask on. Every single one of them. And I'm just like, if your movement is so righteous, then why don't you want people to see your face, to know your name? When I come on YouTube, I come on as Tommy Kane. That's my name. I stand on business with my name. And I stay true to the words that come out of my mouth. And when I say things, I mean them. And I don't care about the consequences, because I believe fully and am willing to fight and die for what I believe is right. And that's the truth all day. I put my name on it. I put myself out there. And when I went around and I saw protesters and people or anybody that was, I would even say liberals, because it's basically gotten to the point where MAGA has somehow made people believe that anybody who's not MAGA is a liberal. When in reality, I mean, they're just Americans. And I noticed that they've tried to make it so that it was liberals and conservatives, right? Conservatives were for MAGA and liberals are anti-MAGA, right? But then it turned into it's MAGA and all liberals. And anyone who wasn't MAGA is all liberals. And it was always like trying to... But the truth of the matter is, and this is kind of the bottom line that I've noticed in my exploring of this issue, is that it's actually the two people are MAGA and Americans. Because MAGA is so anti-American that it's not even funny. Because they don't seem to understand that everything that they're against and everything that they support is 100% antithetical to what America is and has always stood for in every single way, shape, and facet. It's actually strange to me that they wholeheartedly believe that they are the patriots, that they are the Americans. And when you look at what fundamentally is American, it is respecting liberal democracy. And obviously, liberal democracy and the term liberal democracy has nothing to do with liberals and the word that, the way that you guys view them, but it is about liberal democracy. I mean, like, it's about due process. It's about the fact that we have laws that protect people here and that we have checks and balances in our government to make sure we never have somebody like try to dictate or tell anybody what to do. These things are fundamental to America, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. And many soldiers have died in the name of that right and in the name of the Constitution, and have sworn to uphold it. Every politician in the White House who has a job had to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution. Everyone. Every single person. And what we're witnessing right now across the board is that the vast majority of them are not. They're not delivering on that promise. They're not delivering on their sworn oath. Because when you send military into a state without the government's approval, that is anti-constitutional. When you arrest people, not even arrest, detain and abduct people and ship them out of the country without giving them any due process, that is anti-constitutional. Flies in the face of the Constitution. When you support the fact that Trump is making decisions without going through Congress and deciding that he's just going to make an executive order, that's anti-constitutional. When Donald Trump threatens law firms that he's going to revoke their law licenses and use his power illegally as the president to revoke their law license if they represent anybody that he doesn't want them to, or especially people who are suing him, that is anti-constitutional. When Donald Trump threatens the news media, which he's done now several times, he has like many open cases right now where he's suing multiple news networks, ABC and many others, for telling a story, a news article that he did not like. That is anti-constitutional. When you threaten businesses like Google and Facebook to make them adhere their company policies to what you tell them that they want. When you take your lackey like Dana White and say, enforce Mark Zuckerberg, you're going to put Dana White on the board of your company and he's going to keep an eye on you. This is a fascist regime. This is an authoritarian regime. This is not democracy in any way, shape, or facet, it is no longer a free country. And this group of people, these MAGA people who support this, you support an anti-American fascist regime. You're not a patriot whatsoever. You're exactly the opposite. You're honestly a terrorist group. You're a terror group from inside the country trying to coup our democracy with a fascist dictatorship simply because you support this particular guy. He's your guy, so you're okay with it. I loved Barack Obama when he was president, but if Barack Obama started doing the shit I see Trump doing, I'd be the first person to be out in the streets because I care about the fundamentals of the United States. And it's appalling to me that these people don't. But even more so, that even though they don't fundamentally stand for what America stands for, that they don't even have the balls to do it by revealing their name and who they are in their face. That makes it so much more scary that we have a group of people who support a fascist takeover of the country, support an authoritarian leader, and they don't show their face. They don't give their names. They speak anonymously on the internet. Just look at any Instagram comment. The next time you're in a political argument or you see some idiot, pro-MAGA idiot being all pro-Trumping it up in a comment, just look at the profile. Just click on it. Take a look. Now, you could argue a lot of them's bots, and I'm sure they are. Bought and paid for by Russia and other countries that are our enemies that want to continue to divide, want to continue to make it seem like as if this idiot in the White House has support. He doesn't. He has the lowest poll ratings of any president in American history at this point. Everybody wants him gone, except for a small percentage of insane people who still radically support this man. And these particular people don't give their names and don't show their faces. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done about this, and we need more people in the streets. We had almost 6 million people last weekend. We need to double that number, triple it. We need everybody to go to these No Kings protests. We need to stop this shit because this is not good. And we are now facing a real danger. We are on the cusp, dangerously, 100% of losing democracy. We have a traitorous Department of Defense leader who's incompetent, who's turned the military on the people for no reason, when there was no war zone in LA, and I proved it multiple times with my camera, and I went down there and showed it. And, you know, we have a traitorous Department of Justice in Pam Bondi, who is a Trump sycophant that is okay with breaking the law repeatedly with Trump. They're threatening judges and people, and when the courts rule against them, and these are, some of them are judges Trump appointed. And then on top of that, we have a very corrupt FBI leader in Kash Patel who wrote a book basically declaring Trump a king in a children's book. And he's in charge of the FBI. I mean, there is no, at this point, there just isn't any real, there's nobody in any position of power that is capable of being able to do anything to Trump, leaving him completely and fully in a position to do whatever he wants without any consequences. And that's exactly what he's doing. And we, as the American people, need to rise up and do something about it. 100%. This is no longer a game anymore. This is serious. I mean, these This is like, I mean, we're moving into some pretty bad areas. I mean, they're trying to get rid of porn. They're trying to make porn illegal. There's stuff in the big, beautiful bill that would make you cry if I read it to you, which I will. I'm going to be making an episode pretty soon here where I go over every line of the big, beautiful bill in detail. I'm actually going to dump the whole bill into an AI program and have the AI read out in layman's terms every single thing that's in it. And I decided to do that because if I sat here and read you the legal mumbo jumbo, most of you won't get it. So we're just going to have AI translate it. And it's just going to write out every single thing that's in that bill. And you'd be appalled at what they're trying to do, but we are in a real high stakes situation. And we have to rise up. But rise up against who? I don't know, because they don't have